Hi guys, this is the Freemason Gang Stalking Manual Exposed Part 3. Okay, I'm going to get right into it. Terrorism. The U.S. and its allies will terrorize the civilian population to achieve political objectives. The DoD stated, some IW activities such as terrorism and transnational crime violate international law. U.S. law and national policy prohibit U.S. military forces or other government agencies from engaging in or supporting such activities. However, since our adversaries employ terrorism and transnational criminal activities against the interests of the United States and its partners, these activities are included as examples of the range of operations and activities that can be conducted as part of IW, information warfare. 4GW, fourth generation warfare, is a form of political/information warfare waged against civilians by a state or other entity. It utilizes civilians in the military, and indeed all of society, to target civilian adversaries, aka domestic state enemies, insurgents, extremists, non-state actors, cells of fanatics, citizen terrorists, who value national sovereignty and or pose some perceived threat to the state's interests. Anyone disseminating information contrary to the state's national security interest may become an enemy. The goal of the new war, see, this is a war against us. The goal of the new war is the psychological collapse of the new enemies using a combination of tactics. Defeating the new enemies involves the synchronized use of non-lethal directed energy weapons, isolation, deprivation, and psyops against individuals and groups, aka target audience and TI, targeted individuals. Fourth generation warfare is more or less synonymous with unconventional warfare, irregular warfare, asymmetric warfare, low-intensity conflict, military operations other than war, and network-centric warfare. This new war involves international, interagency cooperation between the military, federal, and local law enforcement, non-governmental organizations, NGOs, intergovernmental organizations, IGOs, the civilian population/private voluntary organizations, PVOs, and private government contractors. The multinational force, MNF, involving NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and the UN, is termed civilian military operations. TI, targeted individuals, that's me, insurgents, non-state actors, NSAs, dissidents, terrorists, asymmetrical threats, irregular threats, potential enemies. Insurgents, those who try to persuade the populace to accept political change. The enemy does not necessarily use violence to promote social change. Their methods may be non-violent. These are groups of individuals, not under government control, against the established leadership, who will be targeted because of an action they might take in the future. These may include non-violent protesters who are labeled as terrorists. They may wrap themselves in nationalism. CMO, civilian military operations, combines military, federal agencies, NGOs, civilian organizations and authorities, and the civilian population. CMO is used in friendly, neutral, or hostile operational areas, including populated civilian areas in which no other military activity is conducted. It is used to deal with domestic threats in the new war, so they're at war with us. The controlling faction of these PSYOPs CMO activities includes the military, federal agencies, NGOs, regional organizations, and international organizations that work with civil authorities. In the U.S., this means the controlling faction is FEMA, the Department of Justice, the CIA, and other federal agencies, the FBI, DHS, etc. Civilians are used as irregular forces. CMO are interagency and global in nature. In the U.S., they are used as part of Homeland Security. CMOC, Civilian Military Operations Centers, is established in the civilian sector for exchanging ideas. It may be a physical meeting place or a virtual one through online networks. Daily meetings are attended by representatives of the military, NGOs, the private sector, and local officials. Discussions at these meetings may include any ongoing campaigns against domestic threats in the area of operation. C4ISR, Command Control Communications Computer Center, that utilizes intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. Multiple interacting components of C4ISRs include battle space monitoring, awareness, understanding, sense-making, command intent, battle space management, synchronization, and information systems. C4ISR centers can be mobile or stationary or virtual or strictly computer-based. Each military service has its own tactical mobile C4ISR system. The Navy and Marines use ForceNet. The Air Force uses Command Control Constellation, C2 Constellation. The Army uses Land WarNet and WinT. Each type of C4ISR system is connected to the Global Information Grid. CR, Cognitive Radio, a kind of JTRS, or Joint Tactical Radio System, that consists of a computer which has artificial intelligence. CR is an intelligence device that is aware of itself, the needs of the user, and the environment. It can understand and learn. DARPA helped create CRs through programs like the Adaptive Cognition Enhanced Radio Teams and Situation-Aware Protocols in Edge Network Technologies, Sapient. GIG, Global Information Grid, developed partially by the MITRE Corporation, has been called DoD's Global C4ISR unit for net war. It can quickly track down an adversary target anywhere on Earth and attack them via DEW, directed energy weapons, and other forms of electronic warfare. See, they're attacking us through the cell towers and satellites with frequencies and microwaves. Okay. GIG uses existing commercial satellite and ground-based systems, as well as GIG nodes such as aircraft, vehicles, and ships equipped with JTRS. GIG is connected to all communication systems used by coalition and allied forces. GWOT, Global War on Terror, use of second, third, and fourth generation warfare to achieve political/military objectives of the American Empire and New World Order. So I guess a one world government. That's how I interpret it. IO, Information Operation, aka Cyber War, Information Warfare, Network-Centric Warfare, Net War, NCW, and Command and Control Warfare, C2W. In terms of activities of the internal enemy, official sources suggest the act of simply conveying information alone can be described as IO, information. Well, actually, what does IO mean? I don't know. In this case, it is usually waged by people within oppressed populations. In terms of government/military use of IO, DoD defines IO as the integrated employment of the core capabilities of electronic warfare, computer network operations, psychological operations, military deception, and operations security in concert with specific supporting and related capabilities in influence, disrupt, corrupt, or usurp adversarial human and automated decision-making while protecting our own. Okay. The 1999 Air and Space Power Journal, in an article called What is Information Warfare, states, information warfare is any action to deny, exploit, corrupt, or destroy the enemy's information and its functions, protecting ourselves against those actions and exploiting our own military information functions. This new war is fought for political purposes and revolves around the issue of gaining the support and influence of the population. I don't know how you're going to get the support of the population when you torture them with frequencies. IW, Information Warfare. According to U.S. military and defense contractors, the new enemy uses computers, the internet, fax machines, cell phones, and public media to advance their objectives. Well, what would those objectives be? The objectives would be freedom and human rights. and free speech. They use information operations to influence state forces with the population. Various publications term the act of transmitting information net war. So I guess what I'm doing right now, this is net war because I'm talking on the internet. So that's war. Oh no, talking's war now. Net war, information operations, information warfare, information attacks. Ooh, I'm attacking them with words. Go to your safe space then. Professor George J. Stein in Information Warfare, which appeared in Air Power Journal, stated, "The target of information warfare, then, is the human mind. The battle remains, the battle for the mind." What all this means is that the new war is an information war. I.O., information warfare. Infrasonic and ultrasonic weapons. Infrasonic and ultrasonic generators, also called emitters, and VLF modulators, VLF is very low frequency, are weaponized devices consisting of a directional antenna dish which can send acoustic pulses to a general or specific area. In 1972, France was using infrasonic generators which operated at 7 hertz on its civilian population. By 1973, the British was using the Squawk Box in Northern Ireland. This directional weapon could target specific individuals by producing an audible sound at about 16 hertz, which turned into infrasound at 2 hertz when it coupled with the ears. In early 1990s, Russia developed a 10 hertz VLF, that's very low frequency, modulator adjustable up to lethal levels, capable of targeting individuals over hundreds of meters, causing pain, nausea, and vomiting. As far back as 1997, the U.S. Department of Defense has been creating generators in the infrasound and ultrasound ranges, 7 hertz and 20 to 35 hertz respectively, which can cause these same effects. These weapons can target the brain, causing changes in brain chemistry which influence thoughts and emotions. Particular frequencies and modulations will trigger precise chemical reactions in the brain, which produce specific emotions in the targeted individual. Infrasound occurs within ELF range from a few hertz up to about 20 hertz, which is the lowest limit of human hearing. From 1 to 250 hertz, the pain/damage threshold seems to increase with frequency as well as power. Frequency determines what kind of damage occurs, whereas power determines how much damage occurs. Infrasound easily passes through buildings and travels great distances. Natural examples include avalanches, earthquakes, volcanoes, and waterfalls. Whales, elephants, hippopotamuses, and rhinoceroses use infrasound to communicate over great distances. For whales, hundreds of miles. An electronic example would be a large subwoofer. Infrasound is thought to be superior to ultrasound because it retains its frequency when it hits the body. From about 100 to 140 decibels, infrasound causes a variety of biological symptoms. Effects include fatigue, pressure in the ears, visual blurring, drowsiness, imbalance, disorientation, vibration of internal organs, severe intestinal pain, they do that to me, nausea, and vomiting. High power levels can liquefy bowels and resonate internal organs to death. They zap me in my guts, so I have to use the bathroom, and it's extremely painful. It can also cause they did it today. Before I made this video, they were zapping me in my guts. It can also cause feelings of pressure in the chest. They vibrate my chest. Choking, irregular breathing patterns, and respiratory incapacitation. High-powered, low-frequency sound from about 30 hertz to about 100 hertz, just beyond infrasound, causes fatigue, blurred vision, bowel spasms, pain or damage to internal organs, feelings of fullness in the chest cavity, chest wall vibration. See, I told you they vibrate my chest. Difficulty breathing, difficulty swallowing, choking, and respiratory impairment. Psychological effects include loss of concentration, disgust, apathy, sadness, depression, fear, anxiety, and panic attacks. microwave hearing, aka synthetic telepathy, voice of God, and V2K, existing radar units can be modified to transmit a beam of pulsed microwave energy into a person's skull, which causes sounds like ticks, buzzes, hisses, knocks, chirps, and words. The sounds originate from within, above, or behind the head, and are transmitted to the inner ear via bone conduction. Actually, that's interesting they say that, because I know you can buy bone conduction headphones from Best Buy. I don't know. Bone conduction is another pathway for sound transmission in humans and other mammals. So maybe if they're doing V2K to any of you out there, maybe you should go buy some bone conduction headphones and listen to music on it. I don't know if it would block the sound or not. I don't know, but you could try it. There is no external noise. It can be applied from hundreds of meters away from a target using man-portable transmitters. Dr. Alan Frey invented the technology in 1958. The transmitters use pulse-modulated waves at extremely low average power levels. In 1975, Dr. Joseph Sharp proved that correct modulation of microwave energy can result in wireless and receiverless transmission of audible speech. They did it to my brother. They did V2K to my brother. And they say a bunch of disgusting things, like, constantly to him. NLW, non-lethal weapons, have also been called non-injurious, disabling measures, immobilizers, strategic immobilizers, discriminate force, less than lethal, pre-lethal, mission kill, new age weapons, soft kill weapons, slow kill weapons, silent kill weapons, limited effects technology, neutralizing technology, reduced lethality weapons, low collateral damage weaponry, etc. So they're murdering people with frequencies and microwaves. Okay, the DoD defines them as weapons that are explicitly designed and primarily employed so as to incapacitate personnel or material, while minimizing fatalities, permanent injury to personnel, and undesired damage to property and the environment. Non-lethal weapons employ means other than gross physical destruction to prevent the target from functioning. They include biological and chemical warfare, directed energy weapons. They're zapping my stomach right now while I'm reading this. Communication warfare, information warfare, and physiological operations. Other types include computer attacks and weather modification. NLW are to be used in combination. The CFR states these weapons must be deployed coherently in synergistic coordination with information/psychological warfare technologies. Similarly, NATO, in their 2004 and 2006 reports, Non-Lethal Weapons and Future Peace Enforcement Operations, and Human Effects of Non-Lethal Technologies, indicates that NLW should be used in combination to increase their effectiveness. The U.S. military states that the goal is to overwhelm the target by attacking all five senses, plus motor and cognitive functions. Neuroimaging devices, remote neural monitoring, and remote neural manipulation, NLW, non-lethal weapons, have been called non-injurious, disabling measures, immobilizers, strategic immobilizers, discriminate force, less than lethal, pre-lethal, mission kill, new age weapons, soft kill weapons, slow kill weapons, silent kill weapons, limited effects technology, neutralizing technology, reduced lethality weapons, low collateral damage weaponry, etc. Okay, so the U.S. government and the Canadian government and Australia and Europe, they're torturing their citizens with microwave weapons. Okay, and I'm one of them. So is my brother. The DoD defines them as weapons that are explicitly designed and primarily employed as to incapacitate personnel or material. Hold on, I think I already read this. They include biological and chemical warfare, directed energy weapons, communications warfare, information warfare, and psychological operations. PO, peace operations, the new war. So this is like a new war against us, the people. I guess we're the little peons, and they're the special snowflakes, I guess. Okay, PO, peace operations, the new war, aka peacekeeping operations by the UN, are international, interagency missions to contain conflict, maintain peace, and form a legitimate government. Most are run by DPKO, Department of Peacekeeping Operations of the UN. I don't remember voting for the UN, do you? The U.S. Army lists them as a type of MOOTW. Pol War, political warfare, a translation of the German term. I can't even pronounce this. I'll try. Let's see. Weltanschauungskrieg, worldview warfare, which means the scientific application of terror and propaganda as a way of securing ideological victory over an enemy. Why would you fight with your own people? How are your own people your enemy? You guys are fucking retarded. PSYOP, psychological operations, a major part of the new war and a core part of civilian military operations that is combined with electronic warfare and CNO. PNO involve synergistic coordination of PSYOP, MILDEC, OPSEC, and EBO. Man, they use a lot of abbreviations, don't they? PSYOP units work with the civilian population as irregular forces to attack target audience, TA, in the area of operation, AO. PSYOP operators profile TAs and TIs and devise themes to attack their target audience, which includes TIs, target individuals, which is me. Ultimate goal of PSYOP is to modify the behavior of the TA by destroying their will, using a relentless attack consisting of painful triggers. Like I'm getting zapped in my guts right now while I'm reading this. A type of I'm being tortured every day. A type of audio-visual product known as PSYACT includes agents of action who carry out plays in the presence of the TA. That's called street theater. Every single channel of communication the target audience uses for information is interfered with. PSYACT's actions, aka F2C, are audiovisual products consisting of agents of action who deliver messages to the target audience or individual. Agents of action follow a set of guidelines while play acting to deliver the messages, so it's street theater. PSYACTs usually utilize multiple people to transmit messages. Themes are presented in a performance similar to a play or movie production, hence the term surveillance role player. Words like sets, props, performance, theater, actors, cast, script, audience, etc. are used. The military sometimes actually employs people from theater actor guilds and modeling agencies. PSYACTs can occur during rallies, rumor campaigns, group meetings, lectures, theater, plays, speeches, dances, banquets, fiestas, festivals, religious activities, talks with individuals during interviews on talk radio shows, and other social activities. Messages may be subtly transmitted during these events. Agents of action follow general scripts that can be modified as needed. This type of communication includes key words or phrases spoken by the actors in the presence of the target audience. PSYOP, psychological operations. U.S. military states that the ultimate goal of PO is to modify the behavior of the TA or TI by destroying their will. This is brought about by continually inflicting pain. They haven't changed my behavior. They've actually pissed me off and strengthened my will. So torturing me actually motivates me to fight harder against you, you fucking retards. This is accomplished by a relentless campaign used to demoralize the TI that will create perpetual feelings of intense fear. See, I don't have intense fear because I'm not afraid to die. If you want to kill me, do it. You know, being afraid of dying makes no sense because we're all going to die anyway. We all die someday, right? So it makes zero sense to be afraid of dying. You're going to die, so just accept it, okay? You don't have to fear death. Accept death. It says, used to demoralize the TI that will create perpetual feelings of intense fear. I don't get that. I must be a special snowflake. And hopelessness. The DoD describes this as an attrition-based approach. Attrition is the product of gradual erosion of the will. The victim of this psychological attrition gradually becomes convinced that nothing he can do will yield a satisfactory outcome to a situation. In PO, themes are used to transmit painful stimuli, also called triggers, through all his or her channels of communication, which a TA or TI has been sensitized to. Triggers, themes, are understood at the strategic, operational, and tactical levels of the campaign, and they are passed to various commanders of particular AO if the TA moves toward that portion of the battle space. The triggers are part of a behavior modification program called NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, which uses anchors and triggers to promote change. An anchor is created when an emotional state is linked to something such as an object, personal sound, smell, place, color, etc. See, I know how to control my emotions. Once the anchor is established, whatever the individual was exposed to during the anchoring process becomes the stimulus. I also have a psychology degree, so maybe this is why it doesn't work so well on me, but it probably does work on a lot of people. That will provoke the emotion. So basically, PO is simply a series of stimulus-response interactions. PO, aka or information operations, military deception, effects-based operations, neocortical warfare, political warfare, and psychological warfare, aka command and control warfare, are a major part of the new war and a core part of civilian military operations that is combined with electronic warfare and CNL. See, they are seriously going to be using these microwaves on not just me, they're probably going to be expanding the use of them. So the cell towers might have to go. They might have to be destroyed. You know, I mean, I don't know if they put nano in our bodies or not, but if there is nano in our bodies and we can't get it out, then we'd have to destroy what's attacking us, and that's the cell towers. Or the military bases that control the satellites and cell towers, like CFS Leitrim in Ottawa, Canadian Forces Station Leitrim. They're attacking everybody in Canada with microwaves. Okay, POs are a planned process of conveying messages to a target audience to promote certain attitudes, emotions, and behavior. These messages are typically conveyed using a line of persuasion known as a theme. The target audience can be a group or individual. See, they're trying to manipulate us because they think they're the boss, they're the kings, and we're just their slaves. So they have zero respect for us. They're just playing fucking games and torturing us, and they don't want to show us any respect. They just want to get what they want with force. Okay. These messages are typically conveyed using a line of persuasion known as a theme. TA, target audience, can be a group or an individual. PO involves synergistic coordination of PSYOP, military deception, operations security, and EBO, effects-based operations. OPSEC is operations security. And they are in, oh man, look at all these abbreviations. MOOT-W, CMO, IW, UW, LIC, maybe some of you guys know what that means. Operations such as counterterrorism and peacekeeping. The Department of Defense and CFR consider PSYOP a NLW to be used on civilians. See, sir, so in the media they say, you know, don't attack unarmed civilians. They say one thing, but really they're attacking unarmed civilians. In the West, they're attacking us. They criticize other countries like China and wherever, in the Middle East, for violating human rights, but they're violating human rights in the West. Hard. Worse than they are. The DoD and CFR consider PSYOP a NLW to be used on civilians. PSYOP units work with the civilian population as irregular forces to attack target audience in the area of operation. PSYOP operations profile targeted audiences and targeted individuals and devise themes to attack their targeted audience, which include targeted individuals. Ultimate goal of PSYOPs is to modify the behavior of the TA by destroying their will using a relentless attack. Okay, this is a repeat. Consisting of painful triggers. A type of audio-visual product known as PSYACT includes agents of action who carry out plays in the presence of the TA. That's street theater. Every single channel of communication the target audience uses for information is interfered with. Okay. In gang stalking / electronic harassment, PSYOP is synchronized with EW, electronic warfare with directed energy weapons, CNO, computer network operations, and all other instruments of national power. The battle space is your neighborhood, and the war is global. See, they're a bunch of globalists. Early PSYOP research was done by a small private network of think tanks, foundations, and academic institutions, which went into partnership with government agencies and kept most of the results of their studies secret. Some of the institutions that conducted these studies were known to be subversive. Thus, much of the modern PSYOP was built by a small group of private interests using the social sciences to install a global government. There you go, the United Nations, the global government dictators. Some of these are the exact same group promoting the use of PSYOP on civilians. See, well, there you go. This is our reward for having a global government. They start attacking civilians with military weapons. There you go. That's our present. Okay. Rumor campaigns used by PSYOPs units to isolate the TIs. Yeah, so they destroy your reputation, so nobody wants to have anything to do with you or have any relationships, so you're isolated. Primary elements include the source, the rumor, and the receiver repeater. Similarly, the U.S. Marine Corps document, Multiple Service Concept for Irregular Warfare, states, frightening the population into inactivity is sufficient to achieve our goals. So they want to frighten everybody so we don't do anything. Here's the thing. So basically, all these guys in the military, they know this shit's going on. They're okay with attacking the civilian population, these fucking traitors. In the police departments too, and in the intelligence agencies. Our countries are fucking we're infiltrated with a bunch of traitors. Tactical PSYOP detachment. Team of about 13 personnel with a captain and staff sergeant. It's comprised of several tactical PSYOP teams and provides tactical PSYOP support to brigade and battalion-sized units in support of special forces. I am an unarmed civilian. I don't have a tank or a jet or a machine. I don't got any weapons. So they're using the military to attack me, and I'm an unarmed civilian. That shows they're fucking war criminals. Okay, TPT conducts mission assessment, determines distribution priorities, and tracks the various products that are being distributed throughout the AO. All teams maintain contact with each other, and the TPD is in constant communication with other forces, such as a bunch of abbreviations again, such as the TPDD, the POTF, or TPT. I'll say them just in case any of you know what they are. During the entire operation, TPT, Tactical PSYOP Team, small group including team leader, his assistant, and a PSYOP specialist. CNO, Computer Networks Operations, aka NW Ops, or Network Operations Net Ops, are information warfare attacks used to deny, deceive, degrade, and disrupt networks and computers used by the enemy. And I guess the enemy is just the people. The regular people of the earth are the enemy of these fucking elites. These are used in conjunction with PO PSYOPs and EW, electronic warfare. This includes destruction of hardware and software, degrading, attacking, and spoofing devices. Spoofing/deceiving. The battle space includes the internet. Internet applications that can convey PSYOP messages include email, websites, and chat rooms. When a targeted individual goes online, that's what I'm doing right now, they are entering the battle space. So I guess I'm at war because I'm talking to you. I mean, what's the difference between the internet and your phone? I'm just talking to you. You can just see. Web spoofing allows an attacker to create a copy of the World Wide Web. The Air Force mentioned that an enemy's internet could be spoofed to conceal one of its weather attacks. Spoofing options create virtual weather in the enemy's sensory and information systems, making it more likely for them to make decisions producing results of our choosing rather than theirs. DEW, directed energy weapons, used to damage or destroy people, equipment, and facilities include microwave. Here we go. This is important here. You might want to write this down. Copy this video. Spread this video to everybody. Everybody needs to know this. Everyone. Okay, I'll repeat that. DEW, directed energy weapons, used to damage or destroy people, equipment, and facilities include microwave, millimeter waves, lasers, bright lights, holographic projections, and acoustic weapons, audible, infrasound, and ultrasound. These weapons are silent and traceless. See, that's why they can use them against you when you complain. Then they got their little shrinks on staff to say you're crazy. Okay? Like I said, this plan was written up by Dr. Evil. These weapons are silent and traceless. They cause a variety of effects, including tiredness, dizziness, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, they're hurting me in the stomach, convulsions, epileptic seizures, temporary paralysis, vibration of internal organs, cooking of organs, cataracts, burning sensation of the skin. They burned my brother's big toe. Hyperthermia, heating of body, headaches, loss of short-term memory, interruption of cognitive processes, cardiac arrest, and cancer. So they can give you a heart attack and kill you in cancer. And they're murdering famous people. Go watch Gematria Effect News. It's hosted by Zachary K. Hubbard, and I approve him. These weapons can easily pass through most unshielded structures. In their electronic warfare publication, DoD defines DO as directed energy, is an umbrella term covering technologies that produce a beam of concentrated electromagnetic energy or atomic or subatomic particles. A DE, a directed energy weapon, is a system using directed energy primarily as a direct means to damage or destroy adversary equipment, facilities, and personnel. Directed energy warfare is military action involving the use of directed energy weapons. Hear that? The military's doing this. Devices and countermeasures to either cause direct damage or destruction of adversarial equipment, facilities, and personnel, or to determine, exploit, reduce, or prevent hostile use of the EMS through damage, destruction, and disruption. So it's the military doing this. In Canada, it's Canadian Forces Station Leitrim. It's in Ottawa, just south of the city. And, maybe all those truckers that are in Ottawa right now should go down Leitrim Road and surround Canadian Forces Station Leitrim that's attacking Canadians with microwaves. And I'm one of them. Let's see. Direct energy weapons include microwaves, lasers, bright lights, holographic projections, and acoustics. The two basic types of DOs include microwaves and lasers. Wavelengths of lasers are about 10,000 times smaller than microwaves. Both are part of the electromagnetic spectrum. The two main types of microwave weapons are millimeter wave devices, such as the active denial system, and the electromagnetic bomb, E-bomb, which is the emission of a non-nuclear electromagnetic explosion or pulse. Do travel at the speed of light, are surgically accurate, can operate in all weather, are scalable, are silent and invisible, offering plausible deniability. Their energy can pass through walls at distances of hundreds of meters to miles and have long-distance projections, tens of miles. These weapons are mounted on platforms, which can be a missile, aircraft, ship, vehicle, suitcase, radio, etc. On November 22, 1990, the European Parliament passed a resolution on Operation Gladio, joint resolution replacing B3-2021, 2058, 2068, and 2087/90. Having regard to the reevaluation by several European governments of the existence for 40 years of a clandestine parallel intelligence and armed operations organization in several member states of the community. Whereas for over 40 years, this organization has escaped all democratic controls, has been run by the secret services of the states concerned in collaboration with NATO. Fearing the danger that such clandestine network may have interfered illegally in the internal political affairs of member states or may still do so, where in certain member states, military secret services or uncontrolled branches thereof were involved in serious cases of terrorism and crime, as evidenced by various judicial inquiries. Whereas these organizations operated and continue to operate completely outside the law, since they are not subject to any parliamentary control, and frequently those holding the highest government and constitutional post are kept in the dark as to these matters. Whereas the various Gladio organizations have at their disposal independent arsenals and military resources which give them an unknown strike potential, thereby jeopardizing the democratic structures of the countries in which they are operating or have been operating. Greatly concerned at the existence of decision-making in operational bodies which are not subject to any form of democratic control and are of a completely clandestine nature, at a time when greater community cooperation in the field of security is a constant subject of discussion, condemns the clandestine creation of manipulative and operational networks, and calls for full investigation into the nature, structure, aims, and all other aspects of the clandestine organizations or any splinter group, their use of illegal interference in the international political affairs of the countries concerned, the problem of terrorism in Europe, and the possible collusion of the secret services of member states and third countries. Protest vigorously at the assumption by certain U.S. military personnel at SHAPE and in NATO of the right to encourage the establishment in Europe of a clandestine intelligence and operation network. Calls on the governments of the member states to dismantle all clandestine military and paramilitary networks. Calls on the judiciaries of countries in which the presence of such military organizations has been ascertained to elucidate fully their composition and modus operandi and to clarify any action that may have taken to destabilize the democratic structure of the member states. Okay. I think these were the comments of Dr. Ronnie Killed, what I was just reading. Request all the member states to take the necessary measures, if necessary, by establishing a parliamentary committee of inquiry to draw up a complete list of organizations active in this field, and at the same time monitor their links with the respective state intelligence services and their links, if any, with terrorist action groups and or other illegal practices. Calls on the Council of Ministers to provide full information on the activities of these secret intelligence and operational services. Calls on its competent committee to consider holding a hearing in order to clarify the role and impact of the Gladio organization and any similar bodies. Instructs its president to forward this resolution to the Commission, the Council, the Secretary General of NATO, the governments of the member states, and the United States government. Okay, other tactics. There are other tactics which are not strictly part of the categories discussed so far. Important. Community-based agents, CBAs, are strictly forbidden from adding anyone to the list of targets. Target selection is done by senior control center staff or higher levels. Punishment of people who side with and help the target. Friends, family members, and citizens who do not place a high value on community sometimes help targets. In these very specific cases, CC, I think the control center, authorized punishment in the form of individual acts against them is appropriate. The system can arrange for these target sympathizers to be found guilty of crimes or liable for civil actions, for example. This is important for maintenance of the system. Well, I guess their system is just total fucking corrupt tyranny. Target bank accounts can be disrupted in ways which do not give the target cause to involve law enforcement. Examples: target protection can be changed to youth account, or an overdraft protection feature can be disabled, or simply steal money from the account. It is called action of international banking ring, and usually at first the sums are around $50 to $100, which are taken when the target pays small bills. Money is never transferred to the journal subscription or membership in a certain club, like opposition to government surveillance. Money simply disappears from the bank with help of cooperating employers. I've experienced this myself several times. Bank accounts are hacked for the payment, and a new bill arrives for the already paid bill by the target, and the receipt of payment is stolen. There is cooperation with military intelligence, stay behind, NATO, and foreign intelligence agencies, also against their own population. This is the so-called secret, silent war going on in all secrecy. Let's see. From total individual control technology by omniscience, organized stalking, electronic harassment, the new high-tech generation of COINTELPRO. In a nutshell, government sources are using directed energy weapons and artificial intelligence to terrorize, threaten, intimidate, discredit, silence, torture, and murder dissidents. In addition, security contractors, among others, are being hired as military thugs to gang stalk targets. Zersetzen, inflicting as much pain and suffering as possible without leaving any marks. Directed energy weapon programs revolutionize this. That's what they're doing to me. Counter-proliferation programs are intended to subvert the potentials of a target while punishing them with psycho-sadist techniques. The perversions of COINTELPRO are notable. The murderous and sadistic ethos of government counter-proliferation programs, ethos that of the communists. Oh, so what? Okay. And this perpetrator network of war criminals are committing sickening acts upon the global population. Modern-day COINTELPRO objectives. These are counter-proliferation-centered programs intended to subvert all progress, to discredit the target, to character assassinate, to slander the target, to taint the target's image, to misrepresent the target, to suppress the target's monetary success. That's why I asked if you people can send me crypto, because they're trying to make it so I'm poor and in poverty. To suppress the target's monetary success, to suppress the target's good character qualities, and people's awareness of positive aspects of the target. Man. To arrange a partner for the target, or mind control the partner of the target. So they'll give you like like say they'd give me like a girlfriend who's like a spy, like they do that to people, and vice versa if it was a female target. To arrange a partner for the target or mind control the partner of the target. To destroy relationships of the target. They destroyed my marriage. When I actually first met my ex-wife, as soon as I met her, they were sending her text messages lying about me, telling me lies. And at the same time, they were sending me text messages. They were giving me death threats saying, 1 bullet's enough for you. To destroy the relationships of the target. To co-opt the target's manifestation. To turn the target into controlled opposition in terms of beliefs and actions. That'll never fucking happen with me. To incriminate the target. To round down the target's output and audience. To marginalize the target. To eliminate connections and networking ability. To suppress the target's personality. Sanitization of pleasure, emotions, and individuality. To punish the target. To torture the target. To destroy the target's life. To stop a target from procreating. Ending a target's bloodline, eugenics, to suicide the target, to covertly assassinate the target, to cover up the targeting operation. If they see too much power and originality coming out of someone, they either use it and siphon it, or they undermine it in order to neutralize it. That's from Ahmad and Nani at TI. COINTELPRO 2.0 methodology, covert remote influencing technology suite. COINTELPRO 2.0, thought surveillance, neuro, artificial intelligence net for psych profiling, directed energy weapon mind control network for counter-proliferation targeting. This is the fucking society we live in? I don't want to live in this society, honestly. I'd rather move to another country. AI, artificial intelligence-based retrocausation, extensive international neural monitoring programs can calculate a target's potentials before the target is aware of them. So they can like calculate what you're going to do in the future with their little computers. Gang stalking, organized stalking, trauma-based mind control, no-touch torture. That's torture with microwaves. Character assassination, slander via proxies, technological illusions, psyops, misdirection, electromagnetic mind control aimed at discrediting the target, mind control of people who provide opportunities for the target, use of family against the target. Example, mind control the family. Yeah, remember I said my mother was saying a ghost was touching her back? And they were putting voices in my brother's head. Use of pharmaceutical drugs against a target. To orchestrate the detaining of the target in a psych ward. They did it to my brother. They threw my brother in the psych ward. V2K, to get a target diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic. My brother was falsely diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic. They did this exactly to my brother. Exactly. And you know what? They got his Class 1 trucker's license suspended. My brother's a trucker. All you truckers in Ottawa, my brother's a trucker, and they fucking stole his Class 1 license from the government, okay? By using this V2K bullshit on him and falsely labeling him schizophrenic. Yeah, you guys want to cheer on the truckers? Maybe you want to cheer on my brother, Douglas Miller, who's a trucker who's been attacked and had his license stolen. Exaggerated, warped, and untrue slander about the target is proliferated. Technology playing devil's advocate via implanted thoughts to get a target in trouble. To try to get you to do something illegal. Agenda to incriminate the target. Advice for COINTELPRO targets, stay lawful. Use of ego against a target. Weaponized mind control against a target. Coercing of a target into appearing overly paranoid and objective of stalking. Specific technological control of a target's body language or vocal tone. Example, to generate mistrust. Total individual control technology is used as a tactic to take away a citizen's rights through faulty mental illness diagnoses. Like I said, they did this to my brother. They diagnosed my brother as schizophrenic, and he's not schizophrenic, not even in the least. Outlandish black project technology experiences intended to discredit when spoken. Use of electronic control grid to mind control misfortunes for a target. Synthetic social phobias, synthetic social anxiety, so they can make you feel afraid with a frequency. Okay, example, public speaker related suppression. Well, I guess it ain't working on me because I'm speaking publicly, aren't I? Suppression of whatever platform the target is talented. Example, music production, software design. To dehumanize a target via electromagnetic neuroscience. Severe target, what does it say? I don't know what the hell this is saying here. Targets are sanitized of pleasure, emotions, and personality. Synthetic suicide programming. Technologically enabled serial killers with a taste for revolutionaries and activists. Electronic targeting holocaust. So I guess I'm getting fucking holocausted by microwaves. While all these traditional tactics have proven fruitful throughout time without waning effectiveness, the agencies involved in extreme cover-ups prefer another tactic that seems to have withstood the test of time too. That is labeling someone paranoid, schizophrenic, or mentally ill. Yeah, it's easy to say that to someone. I could go up to anybody and call them mentally ill and then tell you about it. I could say he's mentally ill. It's so easy to make that accusation with zero proof, because you can't prove somebody's mentally ill. A lot of psychology is bullshit, and I got a psychology degree. A lot of those theories are theories. They're not based on science. You can't give somebody a blood test or a brain scan and tell me that they're mentally ill. It's all based on interpreting their behavior. Okay. That is labeling someone paranoid, schizophrenic, or mentally ill. That's their favorite go-to way to discredit you. Once that label has been attached to someone, almost all testimony will be disbelieved. They won't believe my brother. The military has employed this tactic since the 60s to get rebellious soldiers and others locked up in mental hospitals. So they've been doing it a long time. But since the weapons testing of neurological disruptor technology has begun on the general population beginning in the early 60s and then stepped up to full throttle in 1976, the scope of what is considered mentally ill had to be reprogrammed into a broader definition for the general population. So they're messing with the definitions of mentally ill. So the way a psychiatrist or psychologist diagnoses somebody with a mental disorder is through the... what the hell's the book called? The Diagnostic and Statistic Manual of Mental Disorders. Anyway, all the definitions for each psychological illness are in there. I guarantee they're playing with those definitions in there through the intelligence agencies. They probably cooked up something that matches up with their targeting program, and then they can label you that, and then the people go in the book and say, oh yeah, look, yeah, it's right in the book. Okay. Reprogrammed in a broader definition for the general population. Department of Defense whistleblower. From the out-of-print book, The Matrix Deciphered, my name is Dr. John Hall. I'm a medical doctor from Texas. As a physician, relative to someone of what you're hearing today, in the community, we are seeing an alarming rate of complaints of use of electromagnetic weapons, microwave auditory effects, silent sound spectrum, EEG cloning, which has taken the lab out of the laboratory and into the home. Most of these from the research that we've reviewed can be done remotely. It seems to be more weapons research than medical research. I've personally corresponded with upwards of 1,500 victims, all complaining of identical complaints from every state in the nation, of being exposed to electromagnetic radiation, non-ionizing radiation, for the use of cognitive control or behavior control. Anesthesiologist Dr. John Hall, speaking to the Presidential Bioethics Commission. I am also targeted, and this is my story. This is me, I'm reading this. My name is Sandra Fields. I'm an architect. recipient of Who's Who of Women in America Achievement Award, and have run a successful business for over 28 years. My life and livelihood have been compromised for the last 11 years by being attacked by electromagnetic radiation torture and by organized stalking. Thousands of Americans are currently suffering from chemical, electromagnetic, psychological, and physical torture with no government relief or laws. And it's not just America, it's Canada, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Thailand. All over the world people are complaining about this. I'm Canadian. I live in British Columbia, Canada. Okay, our servicemen, prisoners, and thousands of unknowing innocent civilians are currently being lamed, tormented, and tortured as a result of military research, medical research, pharmaceutical research, physiological and psychological studies that have virtually destroyed participants' sanity, physical well-being, reputation, and privacy. Targeted individual Sandra Fields, speaking to Obama's Presidential Bioethics Committee. What the government's found was that you could induce, by changing the pulse frequency, like Morse code, of the microwaves going into the brain and interfering with the brain, by specializing on the pulse frequency, you could induce psychiatric illnesses to the point where a psychiatrist could not tell if it is a genuine psychiatric illness or an induced psychiatric illness. So what you can do theoretically is you can target an individual's brain. They may have auditory hallucinations where they hear things, which is actually quite common with microwaves, or show signs of schizophrenia. For existence, 6.6 pulses a second can induce severe sexual aggression in men. Technically, what you could do is have someone committed to a psychiatric hospital or a jail for a crime, just by somebody saying that they had a psychiatric problem where they didn't. Ex-British Royal Navy scientist Dr. Barry Trower. Okay, they can cause insanity, and it was an experiment. One of the experiments was to take an ordinary sane person, cause insanity, and have a psychiatrist who was unknown to everybody diagnose schizophrenia or paranoia or a psychiatric illness. That was a successful outcome. And the person would spend the rest of their life in an asylum in misery. But to the government scientist, that was a success. Ex-Black Project scientist Dr. Barry Trower. The war against satellite terrorism isn't just the USA. This is a global issue. I'm in tropical Queensland, Australia, and getting battered daily. Targeted individual Amanda Emily Reed. MK Ultra cover stories. Okay, now this is how they make it look like I would be a liar, or my brother would be a liar. MK Ultra cover stories. This technology has interacted with quite a large amount of people. However, it is almost always misidentified as other sources. Directed energy weapon cover stories. Mental illness as electronic harassment cover story. Endgame technology packaged under persuasive spiritual warfare illusions. Oh, it's the angels. Directed energy interaction packaged as supernatural, like it's ghosts or whatever. Government technology using a cosmic being facade, so it's the aliens, like fucking David Icke says. Religious-themed illusions, using religion mythology as a means to cover stories. So they just, yeah. Okay. Oh, it's the angels talking to you. Extraterrestrial contact as a psychological operation cover story. So they pretend there's aliens. There's not. Ghosts as a cover story. Artificial intelligence orchestrated phantom illusions. It can make you see shit. It's called, you know how you can hear shit, voice to skull? Seeing stuff is called image to skull. Endgame technology as a sorcery cover story. Endgame technology as the real source behind effective voodoo. So they're blaming this shit on all kinds of crazy shit. Witchcraft is a directed energy cover story. Yeah, so they pretend it's witchcraft instead of microwaves and all those other things I just said. Black Project Science under a black magic cover story. Directed energy attacks deceptively packaged as psychological ailments. So basically, they're using microwaves to attack people, and they say it's the ghosts, or they just blame it on ghosts, or aliens, or angels, or God, or whatever, demons. Synthetic signals in the brain from implants framed as psychological ailments. Psychic attack as a directed energy attack cover story. Spiritual attack as a directed energy attack cover story. New Age cover stories. Example, disembodied spirit illusions. Old Age mythological gods used as a cover story. Human-based electronic harassment with aliens packaged as the perpetrator. Scientology, it's not, yeah, you know who's doing it? The NSA, period. In the States, it's the NSA. In Canada, it's the Communications Security Establishment and Canadian Forces Station Leitrim. It's not no aliens, okay? It's not Bigfoot doing it. It's not the angels. Scientology methods as a cover story for technological remote influence. Exotic neural body illusions. Example, chakra, entity attachments, ethereal implants, all bullshit. Interdimensional being interaction as an electronic targeting cover story. Bullshit. Exploitation of illusory explanations to conceal directed energy crimes. So they're covering up microwave attacks with these fantasy stories. People who have already assimilated the cover stories are often not ready to hear the truth. Omniscience. Beings impersonated. Neighbors, targeted individual, V2K. Black Ops agent, targeted individual, V2K. Family, deceased loved ones, deceased relatives, deceased pets. Demons, mind control cover story. Jinn, cover story. Archons, cover story. Interdimensional beings, New Age psyops. Extraterrestrials, cosmic being impersonation programs, UFOlogy bastardization. Entity attachments, New Age psyops. Shadow beings, to cause fear from an obscure source. Archangels, to impersonate a higher authority. Lucifer, to persuade into evil. Satan, Satanist V2K. Ra, New Age psyops. Spirits, spiritual warfare illusions. Ghosts, phantoms, directed energy trickery. Fairies, rehashed old age cover stories. Higher self, mind control cover story. Pan-schism based impersonations. Example, Gaia, aka Mother Earth speaking to people. Bullshit. Saints and Mother Mary, religious impersonations. Bullshit. Holy spirits, psychological direction method, sleeper assassin method. Bullshit. Ascended masters, impersonation of a higher power. Bullshit. Jesus, any vector of vulnerability is exploited. Bullshit. Persons of note. Example, to get a target to murder them to psychologically direct. Any mythological god of the past. These can be pretty cool. God, Allah, Yahweh, Jehovah, impersonation of the highest power. Done via electromagnetic telepathy contact, voice to skull, V2K. Directed energy weapons operate invisibly, while the inducible mental limits of directed energy weapons are the limits of consciousness itself. This makes for an incredible, potent environment for illusions of all types. Omniscience. Neuroweaponry and artificial intelligence quotes. The point of the program is to have maximum psychological effect and leave the minimum amount of evidence. Anonymous targeting program insider. In 1985, CNN did a special report on radio frequency weapons. They hired an engineer who built an RF mind interference machine based on Soviet schematics. The machine successfully transmitted images into a CNN reporter's mind. The stunned engineer said that, given 3 weeks' time, he could scale up the machine to use on a whole town, causing them to do things against their better judgment, see and hear things that weren't there, etc. The Pentagon said it was too sensitive a subject to comment on. Remember, these effects were achieved by civilians over 30 years ago. One can speculate that they've made great advances in the past decades. Targeted individual Jim Hastings. Okay, under Article 32 of the Geneva Conventions, gang stalking is considered to be psychological torture. Okay, that's the end of this manual. So, all the cell towers are a weapon system against people. So, I mean, what are we going to do about that? I guess we'll have to think about it. Okay, guys, subscribe so you don't miss my next video. Have a good day.